Hello, it's Zutshi here. In this short video, I want to share with you the 12 most frequently asked questions about purchase lease options. So why am I doing this video? Well, purchase lease options or lease options or PLOs as they're sometimes called are probably one of the most misunderstood and yet powerful property investing tools that you can use with your property investing. Now, they don't work in all circumstances, as you're going to see when I answer these questions. However, it's really important you understand them. I find that most people are either completely unaware of lease options or completely misunderstand them. And that's a real shame because they can be very powerful tools when used in the correct way. So the first question is, well, what actually is a purchase lease option? So this is where you enter into a contract with the seller of an asset and you agree the right to buy that asset within a time period known as the option period, and you set a price today which is called the option price. Now, you have the right to buy but not the obligation to. So if you want to buy, the seller has to sell to you, but you don't have to buy if you don't want to. So it's a great way to control an asset. You must make an upfront option fee, and also you pay a monthly option fee, which may or may not come off the end price, all depending what you negotiate. And that's the thing you need to understand about options. They are very flexible. It's like a blank sheet of paper. It's whatever you and the owner agree to. So that's what an option is. Now, the second question is, well, why would I as an investor or buyer want to do an option? Well, the first thing is you don't have to put down a 25% deposit. You also don't have to get a mortgage, which means also it's very quick. When you find someone who's willing to do an option with you, it can be agreed and paperwork can be put together in maybe 3 or 4 weeks instead of 3 or 4 months, which is how long it takes to actually purchase a property in the current market conditions. So in other words, options can be done very, very quickly. Now, next question people ask is, well, is options suitable for people who are new to property investing? And my answer is absolutely yes. You know, if I had to start again and go back to the beginning, knowing what I know now, options are probably the most powerful tool I'd want to be using to quickly build a cash generating portfolio. And another question is, well, are options suitable for experienced investors? And again, the answer is absolutely yes, because options can be used in conjunction with pretty much every strategy. That includes if you're doing commercial to residential conversion, freehold to leasehold title splits, anything like that. The advanced strategies absolutely work with options, as do HMOs, service accommodation, single lets, pretty much anything you want to do work really, really well with purchase lease options. So yeah, they work for beginners and they work for newbies as well. So question number 5 is, do options work with all property deals? And unfortunately here, the answer is no. There are certain circumstances when property options work, and many times property options do not work. And this is a mistake that many amateurs make. They try doing an option when it's really not appropriate, it doesn't work, and they think the options don't work, but in fact it's just they're using it in the wrong circumstance. So here are the criteria you want to look for. The first and most important thing is the person selling the property doesn't need the money now. Maybe it's someone who's inherited a property, or maybe it's a landlord just doesn't want it anymore. And frankly, they're going to put the money from the sale into the bank where it's going to do nothing for them right now. But if we do an option, we might be able to structure a deal where they actually end up making more money from this property than they would with a traditional sale, which is one of the reasons some owners will agree to doing an option. But it's really important they don't need the cash now, because we're going to buy the property in 3 or 5 years' time. They're not going to get any money now. The second thing is we want to look for what's called favourable mortgage conditions. This is where either there's no mortgage at all, and about 25% of properties are unmortgaged, or maybe there is a mortgage, but it's already a buy-to-let. It's a low interest rate, it's an interest only, and it's got a long term left to run on the mortgage. These are important because we need to make sure that we're doing things correctly. If there is a mortgage and it's not a buy-to-let, we need to get consent to let from the mortgage lender to make sure they're happy for us to rent the property from the owner. So that's question number 5. So question number 6 is, how is lease option different from rent to rent? So rent to rent is where you take a property on from a landlord, you rent it out in a different way to the way they were doing it, i.e. you charge more rental income. So what you pay the landlord is less than you charge the tenants, so you make a profit on the difference. This is very similar to a lease option, but with a lease option, you also have the right to buy the property at the end or during the option period. With rent to rent, after 3 to 5 years, you give the property back to the owner. But with an option, you get the potential capital growth on that property as well. So not only do you get cash flow every single month, you also get monthly cash flow, which is why I love purchase lease options. Question number 7 is, well, why on earth would an owner of a property agree to give you an option on their property? And the reality is most people wouldn't. But where someone's got a property they just don't want the hassle, the responsibility, the liability, we can take all of that hassle away. We can buy their property from them sometime in the future. And remember, they don't need the money now. And we can structure a deal where they actually get more money from it than if they just sold the property right now. So in the right circumstances, options can work incredibly well. Question number 8 is, can lease options be done as no money down deals? And the answer is yes. Now, there is normally some money required, but you don't have to put in a big 25% deposit. But some of the costs incurred might be things like paying for the legal costs. You might have a commission to pay to a sourcing agent or to an estate agent. And also you might have a little bit of money to do a light refurb or put furniture into that property. So I estimate that most options cost between £5,000 and £10,000. However, there are commercial finance brokers who can arrange finance for you, so you can have a completely new company with no track record. As long as it's a good option deal, there's plenty of cash flow, you can borrow all of the money to do the option, which means it can be no money down, and you pay the loan back plus interest over 3 years from the cash flow from the property. So in the right circumstances, options can definitely be done as a no money down situation. Question number 9 is, what happens at the end of the option period? Well, there are 4 different exit strategies. First of all, you exercise the option and buy it as planned. Or number 2, you actually assign the option to someone else, which means that you don't exercise, someone else is going to buy the property. And by the way, if you are selling the option to someone else at a higher price than you're paying the owner, that means you could get a cash lump sum out of assigning an option to someone else. The third option is you could renegotiate. Now, the owner is not obliged to do that, but if you can't buy for some reason or they don't want the property back, they might be happy to extend the option period to give you more opportunity to buy in the future. At that point, you might pay another option fee or more monthly fee, but absolutely you could potentially negotiate. Number 4 is you walk away from the deal. Remember, you have the right to buy, but not the obligation to do so. So in that circumstance, you want to make sure you give the property back to them in better condition than they gave it to you. I think that's only fair and ethical to do so. And I believe if you do go into an option, you should have the intention of buying. But remember, things can change over time and you don't have to buy. You have the right, but not the obligation to do so. Now, question number 10 is, well, what happens if the owner just doesn't want to sell to you? And the reality is that, well, they don't really have much choice. You've entered into a legal agreement, and it's important that you and they both get independent financial advice so that you both understand what you're going into. You're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. And if it works for them and works for you, great, you could do an option. If it doesn't work for you, well, just don't do the option. But they have to sell to you if you want to buy. Question number 11 is, well, how do I actually buy this property at the end of the option period? When I need to get a mortgage, when I need a normal 25% deposit? And the answer is, it depends. If you are buying, yes, you probably will need to get a mortgage, but you could always do a joint venture with someone else and put the property in their name. And when it comes to a deposit, remember, you've agreed a price at the beginning of the option period. Let's say it's 200,000. And let's say over the 5 years, the option value's gone up, is now 300,000. If the property value's gone up enough, you could go to a bridging company who will look at the value of the property and maybe lend you up to 100% of the purchase price. So because you've benefited from capital growth, you can actually buy the option at the end of the option period with using none of your own money. And finally, question number 12. How on earth can you get estate agents to agree to bring option deals to you? Well, the reality is most estate agents have never heard of purchase options, like most investors. And if you told them, hey, I want to buy this property, but I don't want to buy it for 4 or 5 years' time, they'll probably tell you to get lost, because agents make their commission when the property sales goes through. They don't want to have to wait 5 years. So there's a way we can speak to agents to get them to understand that actually they can earn their commission in 3 or 4 weeks once all the paperwork's done. Now, obviously, you need to know how to speak to them properly, but when they understand this, actually agents realize that an option in some circumstances can be a win for them, it can be a win for their seller, and also a win for you. You've got to learn how to speak to people properly. So with that in mind, if you've learned a lot watching these videos, hopefully I've opened your eyes to show you some of the possibilities with purchase lease options. I encourage you to click on the link below this video and come and register for some live online training for me, because I believe 2023 is going to be a fantastic time to be using these as we turn into a buyer's market. There are more sellers, there are less buyers, sellers are becoming more flexible and more motivated. And some of those people, a purchase lease option might be a great solution. So I encourage you to come and click on the link and register for the free live online training with you to find out how you could be using these powerful tools in 2023. If you like this video, please click the like button, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to make sure you are notified anytime new videos come through. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Click on the link below and come and register for the live training with me. I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.